Chapter 110 to 112. A kunai whisked past Yuto's cheek, so fast and powerful that it shattered the massive rock behind him. "This idiot! Such a waste of those good eyes!" Yuto muttered angrily in his mind, but outwardly he just gave a cold smile. "As shinobi, our destiny is to kill each other. Nagato, blame it on the chakra flowing through our bodies." "Yahiko Konan." Nagato trembled, and his purple Rinnegan eyes erupted with blood vessels. "I'll kill you all," he murmured softly, as if speaking to friends. "Universal pull." Nagato extended his fingers, and Yuto felt a tremendous gravitational force pulling him forward, his body flying uncontrollably. Yuto was familiar with the classic combination of gravitational and repulsive forces. He didn't resist. Instead, he flew forward with the pull, his right arm roaring like a lion. Just as Yuto closed the gap to within 3 meters of Nagato, the gravitational force switched to a repulsive force, more powerful but less flexible than the semi-Tensegan. "Almighty push!" Yuto's chakra-armored right arm collided with the almighty push. He released the strength of 100 seal, flooding his chakra pathways with immense chakra. His chakra-enhanced strength focused on his right hand. Boom! The valley seemed to be penetrated by a divine hand, with countless cracks tearing through the earth. Nagato and his almighty push were driven underground. Yuto's right arm, wrapped in Lion's Fang bite and Ryun steel, combined with his chakra-enhanced strength, broke through the almighty push of Nagato's Rinnegan. Of course, it only broke through. The roaring Lion's Fang was stopped 7 centimeters from Nagato's forehead. Such a short distance felt like an insurmountable chasm. This was the gap between the Rinnegan and other shinobi. "Yuto!" Nagato gritted his teeth. A massive wind pressure hit Yuto simultaneously. Wind release, drilling air bullet. Using the tailed beast Shukaku's technique, this was truly monstrous. Yuto was hit by the combined power of the two techniques, crashing into a cliff hundreds of meters away. At the same time, the shinobi of Konoha and Amegakure attacked. Yuto slid down from the cliff, calmly observing the battlefield. He knew Nagato wouldn't go to where Konan was just now, so his legs were safe. Moreover, because he could move freely, Nagato wouldn't summon the Gedo statue immediately. Even though it was powerful, the Rinnegan itself was not to be underestimated. The raging storm of techniques blew Yuto's hair, and seeing no one was watching, he quickly hid Konan and Yahiko's bodies behind some rocks to protect it from the battlefield's aftermath. In those few seconds, Konoha and Amegakure had lost dozens of lives. Nagato's talent for ninjutsu surpassed even Hiruzen. Combined with the vast chakra of the Uzumaki clan and the power of the Rinnegan, he was absolutely top tier in Konoha's 57th year. Though he hadn't yet mastered techniques like planetary devastation and samsara of heavenly life technique, charging into the ninja coalition was like a tiger entering a flock of sheep. A monster. Madara Uchiha had a good eye, Yuto thought as he wiped the blood from his mouth, ready to go again. But just then, a figure suddenly appeared beside Danzo. Even with his fully activated Byakugan, he couldn't see how this person appeared. It was Minato. Danzo had given everything for this mission. Though he hadn't expected this Uzumaki orphan to be so powerful, cutting through Konoha and Amegakure like nothing, fortunately, Danzo had one last trump card. A flying thunder god kunai on his belt. After Nagato used almighty push to deflect Amegakure's weapon storm, Danzo made a seal to notify Minato. As the yellow flash lit up the battlefield, Konoha erupted in cheers. "What happened?" Minato looked at the corpses of Konoha shinobi, frowning. "What kind of shinobi is he?" "His eyes are unusual and—" Danzo paused, unsure. "His techniques resemble those of the moon god." Minato's eyes narrowed, and he threw several kunai into the battlefield. "Yuto!" he suddenly shouted. "Minato-senpai." Yuto approached the yellow flash. "Take this." Minato handed a flying thunder god kunai to the young Hyuga. I'm going to test him. Be careful. Danzo, pull our men back. If we are indeed facing those legendary eyes, numbers are meaningless. Minato finished and threw a kunai. Again, with space-time teleportation too fast for even the Byakugan to follow, Minato appeared above Nagato as the kunai flew over his head. His right hand gripped the kunai, and a blue chakra sphere formed in his left palm, fast and silent, invisible to even the Sharingan. Rasengan! Minato silently pushed the Rasengan towards Nagato. Prepared, Nagato activated Almighty Push, but it didn't touch anything. Minato had already teleported back to Yuto's side. Quite the formidable opponent, Minato sighed. Like a monster. You're the real monster, Yuto thought. I have a technique that might break his defenses, but it requires preparation. Yuto, how about a combination attack? Minato smiled brightly at the young Hyuga. Attach your explosive tags to the flying thunder god kunai? Great idea, Yuto nodded, secretly hoping Minato wouldn't kill his ally. He handed over the specially made tags. Our first joint battle, we need a good name, Minato mused. His eyes lit up. Got it. Burning Dragon Flash, Infinite Roaring Beast Style. Yuto gave him a thumbs up. Minato-sensei, if I could be as great as you one day. Ha! Yuto, stay behind and launch the infinite explosive at the right moment. Minato gripped a flying thunder god kunai tightly, his blue eyes fixed on Nagato, his expression serious. I'm going in. There may not be a shinobi faster than Minato Namikaze in the world. Behind the name Yellow Flash lies the miracle of mastering the Flying Thunder God technique at a young age, an ever-quick reflex system, perfect coordination of hand, eye, and brain, and a resilient will that allows him to walk through the narrow gap between life and death with ease. It's hard to imagine that all these praises are concentrated on a young man. The man named Minato might have been destined to inherit the title of Hokage. Fighting alongside such a person, Yuto knows very well that it's best to attack first. Minato's instantaneous reactions are world-class. If Yuto just stands there, he might miss the fleeting opportunity. As for why Minato takes the lead, it's entirely due to his personality. He's the kind of guy who likes to shoulder responsibility. This same trait is why Obito managed to manipulate him to death. I'm going... Before Minato's words even finished, he disappeared from where he stood. Before speaking, he threw 3 kunai from 3 directions towards Nagato. It was a masterful throwing technique, achievable only by those who have delved deeply into the art of ninja tools for many years. Nagato's mysterious and cold Rinnegan focused on the 3 kunai. Even though Nagato's observational ability isn't as good as it would be if the Rinnegan were his original pair of eyes, it still has dynamic vision, surpassing that of both the Sharingan and Byakugan, making it easy to track the kunai. Rasengan! However, Nagato fell for the trick. Minato didn't use the Flying Thunder God technique immediately. Instead, he used a regular body flicker technique to rush in, while Nagato's attention was on the kunai. Though it was a regular body flicker technique performed by Minato, it might as well have been a lightning strike. Nagato was alarmed and quickly raised his hands. The power of Shinra Tensei surged forth, intending to push Minato away. At the critical moment, Minato used the Flying Thunder God technique, instantly teleporting to the kunai, passing just above Nagato. The Rasengan vanished. Minato twisted his body in mid-air, and with powerful physical control, he threw another kunai that pierced through the air with a sharp whistling sound. Wind Style! Gale Palm! Nagato's hands generated a strong wind pressure, deflecting all the kunai without a single one landing near him. With a slap, Minato landed and reappeared beside Yuto. The probing ended. He isn't the moon god. Minato's first words made Yuto's heart pound. The Hokage-sama told me that Moon God involves a unique range technique that combines repulsion and attraction. essentially a meat grinder. But during my first attack, this person cautiously used the repulsion technique. During the second attack, he used wind style. Is there a gap in that technique? Can't use it continuously? And can't repulsion and attraction be used simultaneously? Of course, this might be a flaw he revealed on purpose, leading my thoughts in the wrong direction to conceal a fatal move. Minato smiled and patted Yuto's shoulder. Yuto, you stay here and prepare. I need to probe him a bit more. Get a better feel. Don't probe anymore, Yuto thought with a wry smile. If you keep probing, I might turn on you and team up with Nagato to kill you here. You have a kunai tied to the explosive tag combo. Though Yuto thought this, he didn't show it. Instead, he seriously said, All right, I'll listen to you. Still not right, Minato said, about to move but then reconsidering. If those eyes are truly the legendary Sage Eyes, it wouldn't be good to drag this out. He sighed. Yuto, during my next attack, you find the right moment to use the explosive tag combo. With a brief consideration, Minato made his decision. However, they didn't strike first this time, because as they were talking, Nagato Uzumaki began to move. Universal pull! Once again, the classic pull technique. Yuto and Minato were both drawn towards Nagato, but this time Nagato learned his lesson. Knowing this move was ineffective against the two, he concealed several senbon in his palm, and the moment Yuto and Minato's feet left the ground, he retracted the pull and used Gale Palm. Minato vanished using the Flying Thunder God technique, while Yuto blocked the senbon with his right arm. The Ryun steel easily deflected them. At that moment, Nagato found an opening. He suddenly extended his hand, and a nearly transparent arm shot out from his palm at high speed like a chameleon's tongue, striking Yuto solidly. The terrifying power of the Rinnegan burst forth. The most powerful Sage Eyes could control souls and reincarnation. Nagato roared and clenched his fist, attempting to pull Yuto's soul out. Simultaneously, Nagato summoned two mechanical arms from his back. The clattering sounds were spine-chilling as various heavy weapons appeared. It was like stuffing all the heavy firepower of a fortress into his body. If Minato teleported here, he would face a ruthless attack from all directions. Since he couldn't match Minato's speed, he would first control or even kill his comrade. If Minato came to rescue, he would suffer the heavy weapon assault. If not, they'd be one man down. In some ways, this method was similar to Obito's. However, Nagato was slightly stunned. Despite his pupil's power, Yuto's soul didn't budge. He did touch Yuto's soul, but it was incredibly heavy, as if he were pulling a piece of the abyss. The situation reversed instantly. Although Yuto didn't know what happened, he could feel the connection through the soul technique. He grasped the transparent tongue, unleashed his chakra-enhanced strength, and pulled Nagato towards him. The red-haired young man's feet left the ground, losing control to a dangerous level. Well done, Minato praised. He didn't know what happened either, but he wouldn't miss the opportunity. Before Nagato could react and bring his hands together, Minato embedded a kunai tied with special explosive tags into Nagato's right shoulder. At that moment, Yuto finished his hand signs. Shinra Tensei! Nagato's roar echoed across the battlefield. Chakra poured out without reservation, blasting everything around him. Simultaneously, over 10,000 explosive tags detonated in a chain reaction, flattening the already scarred valley. When the dust settled, Minato and Yuto slowly emerged. Minato proved to be a reliable teammate. Fearing the infinite explosive technique would engulf Yuto, he used the Flying Thunder God to teleport them both to safety. He's gone. Such an attack can't kill a man with those eyes. Minato frowned and sighed. Yuto nodded without speaking. Indeed, he escaped. Yuto activated his Byakugan, and Konan and Yahiko's bodies were also gone. As the mutual explosive tags caused a massive shockwave, The shinobi from Konoha and Amegakure had only retreated about 200 meters from the battlefield's center. The slower ones were still grazed by the explosion's aftermath. With the Flying Thunder God technique, Minato's combat peaks quickly, reaching high intensity instantly and then rapidly subsiding after determining the outcome. In fact, from Minato instructing Danzo and Hanzo to retreat with their shinobi, to the battle breaking out, analyzing Nagato's abilities, and using the mutual explosive tags, all this took less than half a minute. For ordinary shinobi, this meant that the battle ended almost as they were still evacuating. Seeing that Yuto and Minato were unharmed, the Konoha shinobi, led by Danzo, returned, followed by the Amegakure shinobi. Hanzo and Danzo arrived at the battlefield's center, and at first glance saw a dark, deep hole. That red-haired guy? It's Earth Release. He escaped underground. My Byakugan saw chakra traces. He set up traps in the tunnel, Yuto said softly. My mistake. I didn't expect him to be so skilled with Earth Release. Tsk. Using the mutual explosive tags gave him the gap to escape. Don't blame yourself, Yuto. Minato's voice was kind. I lack super destructive ninjutsu. Your mutual explosive tags were key to breaking the stalemate. Even if we did it again, pairing Flying Thunder God with your explosion was the best choice. Besides, he's indeed injured, and quite badly. Yuto nodded without speaking, looking like a perfectionist blaming himself. But inwardly, he sighed in relief. It seems Nagato, though earnest, isn't foolish and seized this opportunity. Yuto knew Nagato was a genius with all elemental affinities. The mutual explosive tags and Flying Thunder. God might have severely injured him, but also gave him a chance to escape using Earth Release. Otherwise, within a few more seconds, if Danzo and Hanzo returned, the four of them together would have further reduced Nagato's chances of survival by at least 20%. Escaping in one piece was already a victory for Nagato, especially as he managed to take Konan and Yahiko's bodies with him. 1. As for Nagato seeking to die with his two deceased friends and taking his enemies with him, it was possible but unlikely. Akatsuki wasn't just the three of them. After the initial intense grief, Nagato would calm down and return to the Akatsuki base, at least ensuring his subordinates' safety before focusing on revenge against Konoha and Amegakure. Yuto calculated all these possibilities the moment he saw the yellow flash. If there were unexpected events, like Nagato summoning the Gedo statue and being hindered, allowing Minato to kill him easily, Yuto had no solution unless he turned into the moon god today to ambush Minato and become a Konoha rogue shinobi. In the thinning dust, Hanzo's breathing grew heavier. Frustrated, he squatted to examine the blood and flesh on the ground. This fell after the explosion. The blood is fresh and the fragments of internal organs seem to be stomach tissue. He's very weak. Today is the best chance to kill him. He stood up, looking at the Konoha trio. You saw it too. He has, those mythical eyes. Konoha will join the hunt, Danzo affirmed. Minato nodded in agreement. Since they started, they must see it through. War is never a banquet. Good. Then let's split up. He won't get far. Hanzo was the most urgent, being Nagato's primary target for revenge. If he didn't kill Nagato today, he'd never sleep peacefully again. Danzo thought for a moment and spoke softly. We shouldn't concentrate all search personnel in one spot. We need a wide search. Though he's heavily injured, his remaining strength isn't to be underestimated. Teams of 3 shinobi. Signal when you spot him. We'll position ourselves in the 4 directions. When we see the signal, we'll converge to kill him. Even if we can't kill him, we must stall him for reinforcements. Danzo quickly laid out the plan. Though it would increase casualties among lower-ranking shinobi, it was highly efficient. After a brief exchange, the hunt for the remaining Akatsuki members began. As they dispersed, Hanzo instinctively glanced at Yuto. Their eyes met briefly before breaking contact, as if it was just a casual look. After a few more minutes, all the Konoha and Amegakure shinobi were engaged in the search. Yuto first ran in his assigned direction, confirming no one was following him before leaning against a rock and taking a deep breath. Hanzo of the Salamander. He silently repeated the name. He is such a keen guy, always just courting death. Nagato lay in the cave, gasping for breath. Beside him were Konan and Yahiko. Seeing the eerily serene faces of his friends, Nagato felt as if nothing had happened, as if Yahiko hadn't impaled himself on his kunai, as if Konan hadn't been brutally killed by Yuto's gentle fist. But every time he touched their cold skin, reality slapped him hard. Dead. They were dead. The next meeting would either be in dreams or in the afterlife. Gritting his teeth, Nagato used medical ninjutsu to heal himself. He was a genius in ninjutsu, adept at almost everything except Keki Genkai. The intense pain coursed through his body, and Nagato clenched his fists, not making a sound. With his Rinnegan and top-tier Uzumaki talent, Nagato could have performed better in the recent battle. At the very least, he could have suffered fewer injuries or even retaliated against Konoha and Amegakure before escaping. Lack of experience in life-and-death battles against true experts. This was Nagato's biggest issue. He had never fought against someone of Minato's caliber before. Besides Hanzo, there wasn't anyone in the Land of Rain comparable to Yuto. Without real combat experience, his six paths techniques, taijutsu and ninjutsu, couldn't be fully utilized. However, if Nagato had fought many high-level opponents, he would have already been famous in the ninja world. This battle with Konoha's elite was invaluable to Nagato. Once he healed, his understanding of combat would reach new heights, if he survived today. Huff, huff. Suddenly, he heard heavy breathing outside the cave, and Nagato tensed, staring at the entrance. It was the sound of Hanzo breathing through his mask. He's outside, suspecting this place. If I use Earth Release now, my chakra will alert him. But if I do nothing, Hanzo will release poison gas into the cave to test. Taking a deep breath, Nagato prepared to make a desperate move. Unexpectedly, as he stood up, the heavy breathing outside grew louder. Then, he heard Hanzo's voice filled with doubt and fear. Moon God?